I am Todd Vincent. Welcome to Base Camp Wisdom, a podcast with people who've weathered the storms, traveled the hard miles, and made it to the other side. In this podcast, we're going to explore life lessons, valuable insights, proven tools, and experiences that will help guide you on your own leadership journey. Grab your cup of coffee, sit back and listen to some seasoned Sherpas who've not just weathered the storms, but they've made it to the other side. Welcome to Base Camp Wisdom. Hey, Todd Vincent here with the next episode of Base Camp Wisdom. I'm here with my good friend, Brian Bergman. This conversation went so well the first time, we thought that we would do it again, mainly because I forgot to hit record and we talked for about 30 or 45 minutes. Fairly appropriate that the conversation today is about celebrating failures and what did you learn? So right off the bat, I need to hit record before we get started.
It's happened to all of us. It's happened to all of us multiple times. So it's okay. It is okay.
I'm hoping that it doesn't happen again anytime soon. I'd rather it happen to you and let me make fun of you. So I see you're got a brick wall behind you. Looks like you might be in Auto Alley. Yep. Where are you at today?
I'm sitting down here at Junction, sitting at the counter. This is my kind of landing place that I have on a regular basis because I've discovered, like, for me, I need humans around. The older I get, the less I like working from home. It works for a lot of people. It doesn't work for me because I need that good friction. I need to bump into people. I need the energy around me. Helps me to stay focused, helps me to kind of operate at my best. So it kind of has become my default mode.
Well, you're in a good spot with Junction and our buddy Nick. What's your go-to coffee there when you're at Junction?
Absolutely a cappuccino. Absolutely okay. Cappuccino. Cappuccino is my default, but I will say that Chase tried to feed me a Diet Coke and espresso this morning, which made me cringe in my soul. But I will admit this, I tried it and it wasn't terrible.
Terrible.
I'm not saying I would ever choose it.
Yeah.
But it was not terrible.
Well, the closest I've had to that is what they call a Vodka Negra, which I think is a espresso shot and a Coke over ice.
Well, and they do, which they also call a Brooklyn soda.
Okay.
That's also a Brooklyn soda. There's a coffee shop in Brooklyn or not a coffee shop, a pizza restaurant in Brooklyn where they started making that. And they actually used to sell them all over the place, coffee and Coke.
Wow.
And I tried one once and it was terrible. It was terrible. Not going to lie. It was terrible.
Okay.
So,
maybe just my age, I like what I like. So, but I'm not scared to go venture off and try something new, but it would not be my daily drinker there.
Yeah. And I think this actually kind of fits into our category a little bit in a broad sense. I'm a guy that I'll try most anything twice. That's kind of like, I'll try most anything twice. And I'll try it twice because if you try it once, you might get the worst version of it, or you might get the best version of it.
Okay.
But if you try it twice, you kind of are like, you have a little bit of a sample size and you can figure out if you actually like it. And that's something I've talked about with my kids. It's like, hey, if I'll try it twice, that's turned into some really great experiences over the course of my life.
I could buy into that as long as you're with me and you're the one that's trying it twice. Yeah. I mean, I think I can figure out pretty quick if I don't need to do this twice.
Well, and here's my one caveat that goes along with it. My one caveat is I don't do dares. Like let me rephrase
You don't do Farkle?
That.
You don't play Farkle?
Yeah, I don't on the try something twice. It's got to be something that people actually eat. Like I was in the Philippines, and whenever I was in the Philippines, they asked me if I wanted 1,000-year-old egg. And I was like, what's 1,000-year-old egg? And they were like, it's an egg that we bury in the dirt. I think it's for like 6 months. And then you dig it up and you eat it. And I was like, do you guys eat it? And they were like, oh, no. I don't eat it. I was like, if you don't eat it, I'm not eating it. I'm just not.
That one was just for the Americans. Yeah.
Yeah. That was that. I was like, that's what I call a dare. Like, hey, if there's a dare, that there needs to be like $50 or $100 attached to that one. I'm not doing it just because.
Yeah, it would have to be at least a Benjamin Franklin before I would do that. So.
Yeah. Well, in my younger life, there was a lot that I would do for $50.
Well, it depends on how hungry you are.
Yeah. There's a lot that
how broke you are.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to do some Riverside magic on this episode and weave these two conversations in together. When you all of a sudden see you and I sitting in my living room,
right?
That will be what has happened, and we'll clean up our mess here.
Absolutely.
One of the things I want to talk to you about is just Uh, we talked about recognizing your failures and what have you learned over some of the hard miles. And so I just wanted to ask you, what are some mountains that you've climbed that have been hard miles that you look back and maybe in the moment it was
Oh,
like that
would you
thousand-year-old
want to
egg.
hear?
This is terrible.
Yeah.
But looking back, you realize that there that was a defining moment in your life.
The, here's been one of my thoughts, and I think over the course of my life, I don't know that I consciously remember choosing mountains. I think I kept attacking what was right ahead of me, for better or for worse, and sometimes not really in great ways. Because it's like there are opportunities, there's responsibilities, there are things that needed somebody capable. There were things that I was climbing just because that's what capable people do. That's what winning people do. That's what, like, whatever this narrative that I've got carrying around in my head. These are the things that people do. And at some point, I had to start asking myself, like, why? You know, because I was doing things because at the time it felt right, it felt steady, and sometimes it felt like adventure.
And you may not even be aware of the elevation in the moment.
Right. There were so many things that it's like that at the end of it all, I wasn't being mindful. I was just doing it. I was just doing it. And I wasn't asking myself where I was going. I wasn't asking myself what the goal was. I was just doing it because it seemed like the right thing. And sometimes it was honestly, sometimes that was beneficial. Sometimes that was damaging because I would end up in places that how in the world did I get here? Because I would set out for peaks. I would set out for mountains. I would set out for climbs. I wouldn't know what I needed. I wouldn't know what the point was. Wouldn't know what the purpose was. I just knew that I was doing it.
Hmm.
And because, and I think I had this wiring all along. My wiring was that I'm doing it because I should,
Yeah.
because that's what capable people do. And also because in my family is a bunch of very large men. And our whole thing was you may not be the biggest, you may not be the fastest, you may not be the strongest, but you can work the hardest.
Yeah.
And
That
it
combination of
was
taking up some space, being, 6'8", 6'9", and being a hard
right.
worker,
Yeah.
that'll get you
You
places.
do all those things. Yeah. It'll get you places, but in the hindsight, they get you places that maybe you didn't want to be in the first place,
Yeah, yeah.
just because of sheer force of will.
Not every trail leads to the summit. You may be
Right.
on a trail and be on the mountain, but like you said, it may not get you to where you honestly wanted to be.
Right. And it can get you in situations that you wake up and realize you're lost
Yeah.
because you weren't mindful. You get to places where you realize that you weren't prepared. You get to places where you realize that you just weren't where you wanted to be. And that's turned into me as a dad now. I have
Mhm.
sons. Me as a dad now, I'm asking my kids, like, when my oldest started thinking about what he wanted to study in college, he felt all this pressure. Well, I got to figure something out because all my classmates know what they want to study, know what they want to do. And I
Yeah.
looked at him and I was like, newsflash, nobody really knows what they want to do. None of them have any idea. They think that
At
they do, but the
18,
average college
20,
student
it's
changes their
rare.
major 3 times.
That was me.
Yeah. So I asked him, I was like, hey, let's think about this differently. Instead of thinking about what you want to study, ask yourself what excites you, what interests you. And I told him, I said, write down 5 things that really interest you, 5 things that you're really intrigued by that capture your attention, and write those 5 things down. And then once you write those 5 things down, start to figure out, like, what are the things that I can do with those things? It's like, what can I do with them? What kind of jobs can I have? What kind of careers can I have? And then the final question, which for me was kind of a game changer. And I said, once you kind of figure out what are some potential jobs that sound really interesting to you, based on you really enjoy them, you've looked into what those jobs can be. Now, here's the final question. Out of those jobs, which one takes the best care of your family? And the reason, and I was a guy that I wanted to ignore the financial component of it because I didn't want to do anything for money.
Mhm.
And I don't want my kids to do anything for money. But if you find 5 things that you really enjoy doing, and one of them can be something that takes great care of your family and can set your life up for success, consider it.
Yeah.
Seriously consider it. Because
At what point in your life did you have that epiphany?
I think I had that epiphany once I had kids.
Okay. What
Because
would have
with my
happened if someone
kids,
had given that to you at the same age that your sons are now? How would you have climbed different?
I think I would have climbed differently because I think I would have taken a little more ownership.
Mm.
At least I hope I would have taken more ownership. I would have taken more, like, personal ownership, personal pride in it, because I spent most of my early life just trying to live up to the expectations that I have for myself,
Yeah.
the expectations that I felt like everybody else had for me. Because when you walk in a room, it's like there are things that come along with you when you walk into that room. Well, I wish I'd shucked those things earlier. I wish I had. I wish I'd been able to live in my own skin earlier.
And be
Earlier.
comfortable in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a best worst thing that's ever happened to you that going, oh, now looking back, that it was painful, but I'm glad that it happened? I'm
Man,
putting
I
you on the
think
spot
there's
here.
no, put me on the spot. I'm okay with being put on the spot. I think truthfully, whenever I look back at those choices in those moments, I think most of those moments weren't like big crash outs.
Okay.
I think most of those moments were like little awakenings. Like I think most of those moments were little. Yeah. They were little things because like the first one that comes to mind, and this is I don't know that this is a failure, but for me it felt really meaningful.
Or a wake up call, maybe.
I walked into Target. I'm with my oldest son. He is 18 months old probably.
Mhm.
I've got to shop in Target. He does not want to sit in the buggy. He wants to walk around. He wants to do what he wants to do, but I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to toddle around. So he's freaking out. He is angry and he wants everybody within a 5 mile radius to know that he is angry. And I remember standing there feeling like an absolute failure of a dad because when your kid is screaming bloody murder in the middle of Target, all you want to do is put a bag over his head,
Or
metaphorically
yours.
speaking. Yeah, or yours. And you feel like I felt all this anxiety and I was like,
Yeah.
what do I do to make this better? And there was this subtle thing that was the reason I wanted to make it better is because I didn't want anybody else to think I was a bad dad. And all of a sudden in that moment, there was this awakening in me that was like, I don't want to respond in this moment to keep people from thinking I'm a bad dad. I want to respond in this moment in order to be a good dad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. How do I
that's a
respond to my son's
small
meltdown? Yeah.
right. And in that moment, I had this realization that whether anybody agrees with how I respond to him or not, this kid is 50% me. There is nobody in this building who is more appropriate or more suited for making a decision in this moment regarding his health, safety, and well-being than me. No one in this building is more set up. This kid is 50% my genetics. If anybody is going to be able to read between the lines and figure out what's going on with him, it should be me. And all of a sudden, like all this pressure fell off. It's like I don't need them to understand. I don't even need them to agree with me. Frankly, I don't care. I'm gonna be dad. That's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna live inside of that, not any of the other stuff, because the other stuff's
Well, I'm here. Yeah.
nonsense.
I'm hearing you talking about identity.
Yeah,
So that's maybe throwing a fit, but yeah, I mean, when you start operating out of identity instead of expectations or what other people think about you in the moment, it does. You can get through that situation a whole lot better. I think about my own. I didn't have, when I look back, I think mine's just kind of the opposite. I didn't have those little micro moments that got stacked. I think about the crash that I had in 2016, and it was a huge wake up call. And I've just, it's taken me 2 decades to write and talk about it. But I've got my book coming out this spring called Mountains of My Mind. Just navigating, how do you do that? Just what you said. How do you operate out of identity? And what I learned on that journey is that really it's just personal leadership formation. I don't know if that's a category, but you got to look at your inner life. What are the things that you find yourself under pressure that actually shape you? Now, you look at steel, you look at things that are put under heat and under pressure. Those are the things that make them capable and grounded, and it gives you something dependable. But we sure don't want to go through that. It doesn't sound like any fun to go through the pressure, go through the fire, but that's where we're developed as people and character, and that can be a good thing. But it's
yeah,
not any fun in the process.
yeah. It's it's not. And I think on some level there's coming to terms with like our imperfection along the way. It's coming to terms with our lack of ability, with our insecurity. There's a million little pieces that are getting presented to us every day, and I think that there are big breakthroughs that happen.
Hmm.
When I look back over the course of my life, there are some big breakthroughs that did happen. Um, but I think for me, the course corrections have been so meaningful. it's like, it's the nudges, because it's the nudges where the refinement really happens.
Yeah.
It's
And I
where
think you
the,
need both. It may
yeah,
be a huge course correction. It may be just some fine tuning, but you got to have them both.
yeah. Well, and I think because of the nature of my personality, I think all of us culturally, we have these attitudes of like, here's what we do, here's the way we behave. And then we realize this might be a little bit out of balance. And instead of coming back to the middle, we
End up
swing
in
all
the
the
other
way over
direction.
here
Yeah.
again. It's like,
Yeah.
and at my age, I'm realizing, I just got through having this conversation with an entrepreneur because I was asking the question about the difference between profit and belief. It's like they're talking about things with their profitability of their company. And it's like, is that is profit your primary lever? Is that your primary desire? And he was like, well, we got to make profit. I was like, no, no, no. I'm not saying it's all or nothing. Again, it's not, it's not all the way one way or the other. It is like, how do you bring profit into its right place? How do we bring um, like our purpose
Mhm.
alongside of that so that we can look at it and go, both can be true. We can do something that we really care about. We can do something we really believe in. We can do all these things, and it can be profitable, and it can be a good business. There's both and. But in order to meet that place, again, we've got to get away from those big swings, the big swings.
Yeah,
Does that
I
make
think
sense?
yeah, I mean, you talked about purpose. I think about identity too. What we do is not who we are, and I think it's easier for us to see that in our 50s than when you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. But when we finally start doing things out of identity, then everything else falls into place. Our identity is aligned, our purposes are aligned, and what our giftedness is. I think the profitability is a byproduct of that. Randy Ross, I think, is the guy that's got the book called Remarkable. And the phrase that someone shared with me that I always go back to is that you can make a difference and make a dollar. And so, how do those, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it
Absolutely.
takes some painful times on the mountain and being in a place that we never intended for that to get our attention. And you use a phrase, and it's part of who you are. It's a phrase that I really appreciate. Well, there's two of them, and we talk about it later. You've made comments and used two phrases: North Star and the red line. So
Yeah. Yeah.
talk about that for you. And one, unpack those terms a little bit, and how has that impacted you? Both of those terms.
So a lot of it has been, I've kind of had this um, asymmetrical career. I think that's probably the best way to say it.
Okay.
I've had different jobs that look like they're doing different things, but I can look back on them now and I can see that there's this thin red line that connects all of them. There are like, whenever I look at the things that I've been most successful in, the things I've most enjoyed, there are these components of vision, there's these components of communication, there are these components of strategy, there are these things that, whether I was working as a youth pastor in college, or I was working as a musician in my 20s, or I was promoting albums for record labels in my 20s. There's this like common denominator that runs between all of those things. And as I was growing in that, I couldn't see those thin red lines. I couldn't see
Yeah.
those things. Now I look at it and go, I look back through my past and I go, where are the places where I've seen the most success? Where are the places that I've felt the most at home? Where are the places that I've been the most natural? And how do I do more of those things? I want
Yeah.
to do more of that. To use the silly analogy, I'm 6'8". If my kids want to bet me at something, I tell them, I'm like, beat me at basketball, beat me at basketball. Cause guess what? I'm 6'8". My tallest son is 6'2". My other son is little, about 6'1". Um, and I'm 240 pounds. 6'1" son is 160 pounds. I'm just going to I will just manhandle them and I'll manhandle them because it's honestly, it's not even a fair competition. It's not even fair. I'm going to make you do what I do best. And if I make you do what I do best, good luck. Good luck. And that's that thing with the thin red line. Yeah. It's like, these are the things that I'm really great at. Right. Yeah. I'm not playing my 16-year-old at video games. I'm not. I'll play him at basketball. I'll do things that I can win at, and that's that thin red line. Yeah, That's that thin red line. And I think the thing that goes along with it that you mentioned as well is like this idea of the North Star that I've really fallen in love with this idea because it's this idea of having this point of reference that is conceivably outside of us. It's like, what's the point of reference that we know is true about us? These are the things that we know that are true about us. These are the things that we know are formative to us. These are the things that we know that are innate to us. And whenever you're in a storm, you need it.
Yeah.
Like that's when you need that stuff. You need that reference point
Yeah.
in the midst
Absolutely.
of panic. You need that external reference point. And whenever we have that reference point, it is like that's why Vikings navigated by stars. That's why, you know, the Portuguese sailors navigated by stars because those were reliable, they were efficient, they were effective, they were everything else.
Yeah.
And
It's a
I think
waypoint that you can count on.
right. Yeah. It is this defined thing that if we can, and it's about orientation. And that's one of the big phrases and thoughts that I'm falling in love with right now is that idea of orientation. It's like, hey, if we can get oriented right, if we can get oriented right, it's like we've probably all done the like pin the tail on the donkey or, hitting the pinata or whatever. And it's like, hey, if we can spin them around and we're pointing them in the wrong direction, they're never going to hit anything. They can walk for the next week and a half and they're not going to find it. But if we can at least point them in the right direction, then your likelihood of succeeding, your likelihood of being effective is multiplied by
Right.
factors.
And
Um,
that blindfold comes off. Everything is a blind spot at that point. And if you can minimize that to just what's back here instead of the 180 in front of you, you're setting yourself up for success.
yeah, and it's leaning into the things that you're really great at. Can we lean into the things we're really great at? Let's lean into them because I've made this joke for years. I'm a piano player. By started playing piano when I was 4 years old. There's something that comes along with being a piano player that since 4 years old. I probably have. They say that 10,000 hours of doing something makes you an expert. Probably have pretty realistically. I could say I probably have 20,000 hours of a keyboard. 20,000 hours. You can put me in a pitch black room and I will find middle C 100 times out of 100. 100 times out of 100. I will find it. It is intuitive and it almost feels mythical. It feels mystical and mythical that I can find that. And there's nothing mythical or mystical about it. It is muscle memory, it's habit, it is ritual, it is routine, it is awareness, it is repeatability. It's all those things because I don't care what you do. I'm going to sit in that room. I'm going to put my hands out. I know where the ends of the keyboard are. And I know that right there is middle C. 100 out of 100. That's that same North Star mentality. It's like, this is my reference point. Because if you can find middle C, you can find the rest of the keyboard. I know everything else that's happening. I know it. I don't need to see it. I feel it. Does that make sense?
It's
I think that there was a, there's, there's a guy that he was uh, he was an elder at the church that I was at for years and years. His name was Bob. Bob had great kids. And there was just like this innate, there was something just that came out of him. It just was that. And I remember asking him, because he had daughters, they were great kids. He had a great marriage, great family, great everything. And I asked him one time something that I thought was really meaningful that I've carried around with me for years is I said, how do I know that I have a kind of big personality. I know that I can be a lot. And I asked him, I was like, I don't want to squash my kids as they grow up. I
mm,
want them to be themselves. I don't want them to be Brian's sons. I want them to be Brennan and Cohen. That's what I want. How do I do that? Because you've clearly done that and done that well. And he gave me some advice that's probably the best parenting advice I've ever gotten. He said, if it's about safety, be unyielding. If it's about preference, let them choose. And I
mm,
thought that was really amazing. And he kind of unpacked it a little bit and he said, the safety side of things, when they're young, a lot more things will be about safety. As
yeah,
they get older, more and more things become about preference. And if you are able to clearly verbalize what your goals are, if I can clearly verbalize, is it about safety or is it about preference? And in every season of life, I'm able to unpack it into that framework.
right.
That means something different at 2 than it does at 5, than it does at 8, than it does at 13, than it does at 19. Because at
Yeah.
19, almost everything my son does is about preference.
Yeah.
Almost
That
everything.
funnel's got inverted at that point.
Yeah. And that's a thing where it's like he just existed inside of that. He just
Yeah.
lived there. And I'm looking at it going, okay, how do I live there? How do I do that with my kids so that I know how to respond even in the moment? And it's almost like
Yeah,
that
that's
muscle
good.
memory. It's like if I've programmed myself by asking a million small questions along the way, if I've programmed myself to that is my first thought. When I talk with my son, my first thought is this about safety or is this about preference? If it's about preference, then I go, what do you think? That's where I start. And he's somebody that really modeled that really well. He modeled that for me as a kind of mentor and like guy that cared. And hopefully I can do that for people that I care about as well, not just my children, but with my children, that's the clearest example of that. So
That's really
clearest
good.
translation.
Well, it's funny because that's probably the better segue into the second half of this conversation than we had even in the beginning. And we didn't even have this conversation on this topic when we started this the first time. So that's good. That's some good wisdom. So
Good.
well, I know you've got stuff to do today. I'm grateful that even in my suboptimal moment here, you were gracious enough to do this again a
Of
week
course.
later. And appreciate you and your friendship and just having people that we can be authentic with. And no one is impressed with each other on their best day. And you're not surprised that I forgot to hit record last week on my worst moments. I appreciate you, brother, and we'll see how this ends up. But it's always good to just have real conversations together and
Yeah.
realize that we don't need to operate in isolation and try to have it all figured out and do it on our own all by ourselves.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Hey, well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this. Oh my gosh, I forgot to hit record on this. Hey, can you schedule this again for next Friday? We'll do it again.
Done and done.
Yeah, you're not gonna answer my calls anymore. All right.
He's the one that wants to pressure test everything. He wants to find it. He wants to learn it. It's not that he's just trying to argue for the sake of arguing, even though sometimes I think he is arguing for the sake of arguing, and then I want to wring his neck. But the thing that he's trying to find is he's trying to define the container. Like I think that's it. He's trying to define the container. And the conversation that I have with him as a result of that is, hey, some mornings you get out of bed and you're in a bad mood. I need you to take your bad mood into account. That way you're thinking about the way that you're responding. Yeah. That way your attitude is not something that everybody else has to put up with because that's exhausting for everybody around you. It's damaging, it's harmful, and it will, for anybody with a big personality, and he does have a big personality, for anyone with a big personality, it can be really off-putting.
Well, that's good self-awareness, whether you're 16, 36, or 66. And so this reminds me of the thought that it's so much better when I control my emotions than I allow someone else to control my emotions, or even worse, them have to endure my emotions.
Right.
When I've woken up on the wrong side of bed, so to speak.
Yeah. And I think it's been really beneficial. Like, I'll say this again. This is not parenting 101. This is not me talking about all the things I've done right. These are like, there's a million places where I'm trying my best to be a good dad. I've got a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old. I'm trying to figure it out. I've told my children, told both my sons, hey, at 35, there's probably something that you're going to come back to me and be like, hey, dad, this really wasn't helpful. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll probably have to apologize. And I'll probably have to apologize, not because I was setting out to do the wrong thing. It's because I was trying to do the right thing and I did it in the wrong way. Yeah. So if I can tell you that at 16, then hopefully when you're 35, you can look at it and go, I know what my dad was trying to do. Yeah. I know what he was trying to be. I know what the point was. And that changes the conversation. And if they can, interesting thing that's happening as a byproduct is I'm watching them at 19 and 16 be able to see the room earlier than I ever did. They're seeing things, and they're seeing things because we're having the conversations, because we've started this habit with my 16-year-old in particular. It's like, hey, I don't need you to know why you're in a bad mood. I need you to start to recognize it. If you can start to recognize it, as time passes, you'll start to see patterns. You'll start to see things. You'll start to recognize that, and you win. If you can just see it in this season, let's start by seeing it. Once we've seen it, as time passes, you'll start to be able to recognize the pattern behind it. And eventually you might actually be able to name it. You might be able to say, this is why I'm in a bad mood. I got a bad night's sleep last night. It's because I drank a Dr. Pepper at 9 p.m. and I shouldn't have. Yeah. You start to name it. If we can start to name it, it changes everything. We've talked about this before. I traveled for a living for 15 years and I can remember one morning getting to the airport, and I'm with Charlie. And as we walk into the airport, early flight. And as soon as we walk into the airport, he grabs me by the arm and he walks me straight to the Sonic, because it was clear that Hangry Brian had showed up that morning. And the last thing in the world we all needed was Hangry Brian. When he walked me over to Sonic, I was like, I'm trying to abide by my budget right now. I'm trying to not spend money on things that I don't really need to spend money. He was like, I'm going to buy you a sandwich because this is for everybody else's benefit. I'm trying to make this day better for everyone involved. And I was like, okay.
You may be eating the sandwich, but this part of the sandwich is not for you.
This sandwich is not for you, Brian. This sandwich is for everybody else that has to sit next to you for the next 2.5 hours on this flight.
That's wisdom.
Yeah. And all of a sudden I started to go, hey, maybe Hangry Brian is a thing.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
So again, it's back to that. It's like, if we can start to recognize it, let's recognize the context. Let's recognize the moments. I don't need you to understand why. Hey, I don't understand I don't understand the underlying needs for protein and how it affects my mood and how it affects this and this and this. At 35, I didn't recognize that.
Yeah.
At 54, I'm actually recognizing it.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who was sick, and she texted me and told me that she was sick and feeling shaky. And my first question was, "Do you have any protein this morning?" She's like,
I've had 5 cups of coffee though.
yeah, that might be why you're shaking. And it's like, she never thought about is she needs protein. With my 16-year-old, it's like, we talk about those things. Like, what are the things you need?
Yeah.
My 19-year-old, hey, that's great that you just ate 4 cups of rice.
Yeah.
Do you realize that's not a meal?
Yeah.
4 cups of rice is not a meal. There's no protein in there. That's all carbs. You're going to burn that off in about 45 minutes. You're going to be hungry again.
Yeah.
And somehow you're going to be bloated and hungry again.
Huh.
Like, again, can we start to see it? See things for what they are, see things for where they are. And in the beginning, we may not see I talk about this a lot. There's like 2 phrases that have kind of worked their way into my vocabulary here lately. And one of them is seeing the thing underneath the thing. It's like, it's kind of looking at it as foundational, because I got friends that are in construction. They can walk in and see cracks at the corner of the arches, and they know that it's a foundation problem.
Yeah.
The problem is not with the arch. The problem is with the thing that's underneath the floorboards. But for those of us that don't know any better, I see cracks in the corner. I look at the plaster and I cover them up.
Oh, caulk's my friend.
But that's not solving the problem.
No.
And there's going to be another crack. It's like, that's going to resurface. That's going to happen again, because with these issues, it's like, it starts by seeing it.
Right.
It starts with seeing it. That's the starting point. Seeing it doesn't mean we can solve it. Seeing it might be, I'm going to talk to somebody that knows better than me. Seeing it might mean a lot of things. And I think that we're kind of coming into a culture. I think that this is arriving, and I hope it is. More and more companies and businesses are starting to value the people that can come in and actually see the room. They're starting to value that. They're starting to value that because on some level, there's thoughts of efficiency in that, but there's also this thing of, if you can find everybody for a long time, everybody wanted momentum. That's what I wanted at 19 when I'm climbing mountains. I wanted momentum.
Because I want to get to the top.
Yeah. Because I want to get to the
I
top.
want to reach the summit.
Yeah. And I would be in a room. I would be surrounded by friends that they all wanted momentum too. Well, that's great when you're 19. Mm-hmm. You value the momentum. That's great. Momentum is not the desired outcome. Activity is not the desired outcome. In settings like that, for example, memories are the desired outcome. Memories are the desired outcome. If memories are the desired outcome, then all of a sudden I need to see the context completely differently. It takes time. It takes a little bit of wisdom. It takes a little bit of space. But if we can walk into it, and if these are the conversations we have with each other, it's like, can I start by reminding you to see? I just want you to see. We'll start there. Great.
And provisionally, this is the plan for this trip, but there's a lot of things that aren't in our factory. Weather conditions that we don't have any control over. This is what we have control over, and this is the goal.
Yeah.
May or may not make it to the top of quandary.
Right.
But it's a trip of failure.
Yeah.
If we end up spending all of our time at base camp.
Yeah. And I think one of the traps that happens in that as well is that if we're not careful, we'll try to overplan everything. We'll try to overdo everything, because I'm a serial overthinker. I had a guy that I traveled and I would take trips with whenever I was younger, and he would plan trips all the way down to like when we take bathroom breaks. Yeah. He would look up on the maps and find out where there were like rest stops. And he knew at 8:30 on this road trip to Chicago that we will be at a rest stop in Leavenworth, Kansas. That gives me anxiety to even think about.
You want that guy on the trip with you, but you may not make Leavenworth by 8:30.
Right. And we have to hang on to all that loosely. I'm the kind of guy, like I plan and I think about those things, but what I think about, here's the way that I think about it. And this is that seeing thing. When I go to a new city, I'll pick out 5 restaurants that I want to make sure that I hit. It's like, I really want to go to these 5 restaurants. First time I went to Charleston, South Carolina, true story. First time I went to Charleston, I'm walking from the Airbnb that we were staying in. Whenever we were walking down the street, we're headed to this Italian restaurant that I'd read up on, great reviews. Really, I love Italian food. I love food. Food is my love language. But as we're walking along, we're walking past this nondescript building. And as we're walking past this nondescript building, all of a sudden the door opens up and this smell comes out of the door that I was like, we are stopping here tonight, because it was just this amazing smell. And we'd stumbled upon this brand new Spanish restaurant that had opened in Charleston, South Carolina. And we had an incredible meal. I had this bowl of paella that I still have like emotional moments about. And the funny thing is,
you had me at paella.
Yeah, I'm all in. Again, this is my love language. But here's what's funny. We didn't make that Italian restaurant that night. Perfectly okay. Because the Italian restaurant wasn't the goal. The goal was a great meal. We discovered a great meal. And this wasn't us being flaky, because the truth is, again, the Italian restaurant was not the purpose. It was the byproduct. It was like, it's the mechanism. It was the mechanism. I think that's the right term. It was the mechanism that gets us there. It's like, what we want is a great experience and a great meal. We found one. And we found one that's like magical. When we were there for that entire week, I actually met some people. Anybody who knows me knows this is not surprising. Every city that I go to, I end up meeting people. And I'm like meeting locals and having conversations. I met the head of the Convention Visitors Bureau for Charleston, South Carolina, because he happened to be the guy that sold me a bus pass. And he offered to take us to lunch. So he wanted to ask questions about, from a visitor's perspective, what's happening in Charleston. I was like, I'd love to have this conversation. He starts asking me where we've gone, what we've done, what we've eaten. And I tell him we stopped at this Spanish restaurant. He was like, I haven't got to make it to this Spanish restaurant yet. How is it? Is it really good? I'm like, it's incredible. This guy who lives in that city hasn't got to experience that thing. And we somehow got to experience his city in a way that he's not experienced it, because we were walking down the road. We were in a place where we could see. And when we encountered the thing that we were actually there for, we recognized it.
Your blinders are off. We don't want to miss this opportunity.
Right. I'm not going to miss this. Because the Italian restaurant, we can do that another night. This is like, that Italian restaurant was not a life goal for me. That Italian restaurant the point was good meal in a good city.
Yeah.
Found it.
This is
checked the box.
Just serendipitous right here.
Yeah.
This was what we're supposed to be doing tonight, and to be able to recognize that.
Yeah. And it may sound like, so soft and touchy feely to say that, but it's like, that translates into your family. That translates into your working relationship, that translates into your personal life, that translates into a lot of things, if we can, again, just start by seeing.
And one of my daughters uses the phrase all the time, I just need to hold on to that loosely. Yeah, and that's what just happened right there with you. Yeah, you had a schedule and itinerary, but it's something to change, and it may be a whole lot better. It's good to have a plan and have an itinerary, but you know what? Leave some room and some margin for something unexpected.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's where again, another term that I had from back then was, it's where the happy accidents come in. It's like, and whenever you encounter those happy accidents, there are these really great moments. And we can say that these are spiritual moments. We can say that these are personal moments. We can say that these are internal moments. We can call them whatever we want to, but they're magical. It's like,
some folks use the word wonder.
Yeah.
Wow. We can't miss that.
Like something magical just happened. Something mystical, something other, something bigger happened. You know, it was being stuck in a tent on the sides of Quandary above the tree line for 36 hours with 5 guys that I really liked. That wasn't what we set out to do. We absolutely accomplished the goal. And I've never regretted that we didn't make it to the top of Quandary that day. Never. Not for a second. So
can I flip that around? Has there been a time that there wasn't a happy ending?
Yeah.
That you looked up and you thought that was a failure or a loss in the moment, but looking back now with some life experience, you realize that really was formational.
Yeah.
Or transformational for you.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot. And I'm gonna give this caveat before I even dig into that any. I think that there are probably some of those things, not probably, there are absolutely some of those things that I'm still buried in, still don't know the point of. Like I think I'm a person that I try so hard to find meaning immediately because I should be smart enough to find a meaning immediately that I've said several times, like learning to see. Now there is a leap that has to happen. You see it, you recognize it, then you can name it. Now, the trap that I fall into at 54 is that I think that seeing it, recognizing it, naming it should be almost immediate because I should be smart enough to do that.
And linear, and you can bridge the gap pretty quick.
Right. I should be able to bridge the gap. And sometimes I am.
Mm.
Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes there are things that I try to find the I try to find the win in a situation and there's not really a win yet.
Yeah.
And I have to be okay with it until it kind of appears.
Yeah.
I have to.
You and I both been reading Jamie Winship's book, and the question they ask or encourages people to ask themselves. So, God, what do you want to show me here?
Yeah. What do you want me to see? What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the moment, I don't want you to do anything.
Right.
Which is hard because both are doers and fixers.
Yeah.
Be still and know are not my best attributes. I say that all the time. I'm learning to be still. I'm learning to ask the question. Okay, this is not what was on in my better self journal planner for this.
Yeah. This is not on my bingo card.
And so, okay, I can use old tools from the past. I can go straight to fear, anxiety, all the things that come along with that, and know where that trail takes me.
Mm-hmm.
Or what if I'm just curious and I just ask you, God, how do I need to respond in this moment? And knowing too that, this is awful, but it's an event. It's not my identity.
Yeah. Well, and I have a good friend of mine who he's kind of been a mentor from a distance for a few years now. I actually I recorded with most of my client meetings, I will record them and I'll record them so that I can dump them into note-taking software, be able to extract bullet points, action steps, all that kind of stuff. We're all doing that now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I do is sometimes I'll listen back to it afterwards and I'll take notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually shared one of them with my friend Jeff, and I sent this session that was really great strategic session with this youngish entrepreneur couple. And I said, Jeff, give me some feedback on what I did in this session. That was a great session, great conversation, like had some great bullet points that came out of it, some great activity. They loved it. They appreciated it. It was just a great time. His feedback was, when you're having the conversation, I need you to slow down a little bit because you recognize that speed. And even when you're right, it would probably serve you to slow down a little bit so that you don't jump to analysis immediately. It would actually benefit you and the client to slow down and see. And truthfully, this is the truth. I keep using this connection, and I've never used it until this conversation. The see, recognize, and name. I've never used those three categories. I'm 100% going to start using that as part of my language, because seeing, recognizing, and naming are two part. That's a pattern. And what my friend Jeff was saying is, I need you to slow down and see it. Mm-hmm. And even if you're only waiting 30 more seconds, let it sit for 30 more seconds. Don't try to assign meaning quite so quickly because you're probably right 80% of the time because I'm good at that. So that's a skill that I've polished, that I've built, that I've focused on. Those are things that I've done for a long time. I can recognize, I can see, recognize, name quickly. He said, can you see it? Let them see it a little longer. Let them feel it a little more. Let them sit in it and watch how they sit in it. Watch how they understand it. Watch the questions that come out of them. Don't give them an answer so fast because whether your answer is right or wrong, you are teaching them to rely on you and you are learning to rely on you. And you are learning that what you're learning, what you're teaching yourself is that speed is more valuable than accuracy.
Look up and you've left your whole team behind you. And it's like,
right.
Oh, and I've done that.
Right.
And gotten way out in front and I'm out by myself. And it's like, oh, this isn't about me. It's about them. They need to process for a while.
Yeah.
And so this may not get all wrapped up tidy in a 1 hour
Right.
strategy session. This may
Right.
need to let this simmer for days or weeks.
Yeah. Well, and
It feels like
yes,
a waste of time.
yeah. And simmer for days and weeks is good, but here's actually an uncomfortable thought for me. The more uncomfortable thought for me is that it's going to simmer for 30 seconds more. That's actually harder for me than days or weeks. I don't know why. It's probably weird that it's that way. Maybe I'm a weirdo that it's that way. 30 seconds is harder for me than 2 days. It's like, can I listen for 30 more seconds? Can I listen for 3 more breaths? Can I not respond for 3 more breaths?
Like I did a minute ago, interrupt you, let you go ahead and verbally process that thought.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that, again, are we seeking momentum? Because again, at 19, I think that what I'm doing is climbing the mountain. And that's the activity that I'm engaged in, but it's not the point.
What is the point?
What is the point? I had a client a few years ago, a couple years ago, that they sell candles. I've told this story a bunch of times. They sell candles. And I was like, I'm supposed to coach them on how to sell candles. And I've said this to them, so it's not offensive. I don't care. Like, I don't care about candles. I'm a 54-year-old man. You give me a candle that smells like bacon, I'm good. Like, I don't need anything magical. I don't need anything mystical. I don't need flowers and things. I'm bacon. Can you give me one that smells like an apple fritter? I'm in.
Yeah. Coffee, bacon, apple
right.
fritters.
Absolutely. But I sat down and I talked with them. As I was talking with them, it started to be apparent in our conversation, they don't really sell candles. And I'm going to try to compress this because I like telling stories. But when I had the conversation with them, long story short, they also do classes where they teach people how to make candles. And there are all these questions that they ask whenever they're doing their version of discovery for the candle making. And they ask, they're like, what are some of your favorite memories from growing up? You know, if you were to go on a vacation, would you rather go to the mountains or would you rather go to the beach? Would you rather do this or rather do that? Would you rather do this or rather do that? It's like these A/B questions. Would you rather do? And what they're doing is it's kind of like going to the eye doctor. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to identify is your preferences, the things that you actually enjoy, that you actually appreciate. Because if we can start to discern the things that you actually appreciate, then you might actually choose a scent that you wouldn't have ever thought of. We can make a recommendation that changes it. And some of the questions they were asking, I asked them, I said, what's your educational background? What have you done for a living? And one of them said, I just finished my PhD in some sort of mental health field. And the other one just finished her master's in this mental health field. I was like, you guys are counselors. Yeah. And I just went out on a limb and I was like, you guys realize that your business is not about making candles? Because one of the things that they really enjoyed is they love all those classes that they give to people. They love the classes. And I said, candles are the mechanism. What you want is you want to connect people. You want to connect mothers and daughters that take the class together. You want to connect coworkers that take the class together. You want to connect friend groups that take the class together. You want to do all those things. You want them to walk away feeling cared for, discovering something new about themselves. And you want them to do that in connection with their friends, their coworkers, their family, their community. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that I can get excited about.
It's not about the candles.
It's not candles. Candles are the mechanism. Yeah. It's not about the coffee. It's not about quandary. It's not about any of these things. And I could have walked in and just gone, candles. I can mail it in. I can tell you the behaviors you need in order to drive SEO to your website and drive your e-commerce business.
That's all transactional information.
Yeah. It's all great information. And to the expected business mind, that is a great ROI for that conversation.
Yeah.
But instead, we uncovered something that was the thing underneath the thing. This is the thing. This is recognizing this is about 36 hours in a tent with 5 of my closest friends. This is about, having a great experience in Charleston, South Carolina and eating a really great meal on this night and discovering something that even the other citizens of Charleston had not discovered yet. We got to be there. We got to see it. And I didn't look at it at the moment as a core memory of that trip. I looked at it as a great meal. 7 years later, that's a core memory from that trip. 36 hours in that tent was a core memory from that trip. Sitting down with these entrepreneurs and hearing what it is that they really cared about that far exceeded candles was the core memory of that conversation. Like those are the things, seeing, recognizing, naming was far more valuable than anything else because it helps you to know what to pack, helps you to know what to prepare for, and it helps you to know when to go off script.
Yeah.
In that moment, we'd go off script.
I'm making sure each person's got the right things in their pack so they can go on that journey. And in your 50s now, you've got the perspective that you couldn't have as a 20 or 30 something. And I think just in the last few years for me, I've realized that I measure progress backwards from where I came, not measuring it on the horizon or measuring up to the summit, because it may not be at my timing. I may not make it to the summit on this trip. Is that a failure?
Right.
It depends on what you're measuring. If I look and see how far I've come from Oklahoma to, being at base camp and getting up to tree line, to Albert with my daughter.
Yeah.
It was the exact same conversation. The purpose of that trip was relationship.
Yeah.
And so, I'm always going to be disappointed if I'm always just measuring on the horizon, because the horizon keeps moving.
Right.
And I can never fully get there. And so it feels like a failure, because even if I made it 85%, well, I didn't make it to the summit. Well, look at the 800 miles you came and all the wins along the way. So, I mean, that it doesn't mean that you dumb it down or what is your expectations or things that you want to achieve, but just having realistic goals that don't dominate yourself. And that last little bit can be something that pushes you on to continue to grow, but it doesn't mean that it's a failure.
Yeah. Well, and I'm even going to throw out something. I agree with everything you said. I want to throw one little wrinkle in there.
Okay.
Because you just said realistic goals. I think it is possible for people to see, recognize, and name, and still have outlandish goals. And when they don't reach them, it's not failure. Like if you start to teach yourself to see, if you start to see and recognize, and if you start to see, recognize, and name, you can have ridiculous goals. You can have ridiculous, outlandish goals. And I think sometimes and I'm terrible at this, I look at those goals and anything short of achieving those goals is failure. This was the point. A lot of times along the way, I discover that the thing that I thought was the point is not the point.
Exactly.
I discovered that. So, and this is something that I'm trying to actively do for myself. I'm actually in a season where I want to have some ridiculous goals. I am actively seeking ridiculous goals. One of my best friends in the whole world, his name's Jeremy. He's wildly creative, so talented, so amazing. He's leading a company. The company is succeeding. It's doing very well. But I sat down with him the other day and I said, where are you dreaming? Where do you get to say the crazy thing? And he was like, I'm leading vision casting with my team. And I'm like, yeah, what you're trying to do is cultivate vision with them and for them. Mm-hmm. Who's cultivating vision with you and for you?
Yeah.
For you. And he was like, well, I don't really get to do that. I'm like, well, guess what?
Yeah.
We're going to start doing that. We're going to start having that conversation because this is my idealism showing up. And this is not because anything you said is wrong, because it's none of what you said is wrong. But
there's more to it.
But I'm in this season of going, hey, I want to give myself permission to want crazy things. I want to give myself permission to want crazy things. I want to be not crushed when I don't achieve them, because nobody achieves crazy things by aiming low. Nobody hits big goals by trying to set realistic expectations. But the thing that I think that we do, the thing that I do, this is me. When I was 25, I was going to change the world. Everything I touched was working. I was succeeding in work. I was succeeding in life. I was succeeding in all these areas. And as long as I kept succeeding, I'm successful. Because the goal is 30 under 30, 40 under 40. The goal is like these milestones, these mile markers, these things that are measures of success that everybody else recognizes. That's the goal. Guess what? Not the goal. Nobody cares about 30 under 30. Nobody cares about 40 under 40. Hey, if you win it, that's great. It's a great ribbon. And it's encouragement. Again, nothing wrong with it. No. Also not the point. If the point is somebody recognizing that you're amazing, that's pretty insecure. And instead it's like, okay, what can I start doing that I grew up playing baseball was my best sport in high school. What I wanted was to put the ball 450. I want to put the ball 450. Hey, the fence is only 315. I'm going to put it at 450. And I'm going to keep swinging to put it at 450. And I know that that's the goal. And it's a goal that I may never achieve. But every time I put it 320, it's still over the fence.
Yeah.
Still a win. Still great. Still a goal. Now, if I start to suck as a hitter because the goal is 450, well, I need to change my goal. Like that's the thing. That's not the goal. That's not the big picture. And it's actually starting to harm me. Hey, don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself with your goals. Don't beat yourself up for not attaining your goals.
Because you can also win the game with RBIs.
Right. There's a million ways you can win the game. There's a million ways. And it's again, seeing, recognizing, naming. If we start to build these habits where we see, recognize, and name things, man, we become resilient. We become like there's this inevitability that comes along with those people. And I've not attained that. Again, I'm still the guy that beats himself up when he doesn't get to his goals.
Yeah.
I'm still the guy that I'm insecure, and 11 o'clock at night, I wonder if anything I'm doing matters. I worry about all those things. I'm not arriving. I've not arrived. I'm not anywhere close to arriving. But at 54, I'm trying to give myself permission to start wishing for outlandish things again. I want that. I want to dream big things. And it's, and there's a lot of this that like, it smacks of weirdness. Because it's like, at some point, it starts to feel like this poster on the wall. Aim for the stars. If you land in the moon, that's good company. It's like, yeah, I get that, but that feels weird. Like, no, I don't need motivational talk. But what I do need is I'm like my heart, my own Brian Bergman personal heart. I need some maybe foolish goals. I need some unattainable things. I need those because they will drive me. And because hopefully the nature of my life has built some resilience. It's built some of those things that are desirable. Because if we look at some of the great leaders in history, whether we're talking like actual physical leaders that we know from our modern history, but you can even look at scripture. It's like, when did Moses burst onto the scene? He was not a young man. Moses didn't get 30 under 30.
I did not.
Like Moses was out in the wilderness poking sheep.
May have been 40 over 40 or 50 over 50.
Yeah, he was 90 under 90. Like that was the thing. And it's like, if we look at a lot of like heroes, they didn't arrive until well into their lives. They didn't. And are there some young? Absolutely, there are some young. Absolutely. But I'm looking at all of it going, and Sam Presti, he's got this quote that I've thought about for years. Development is not linear. Okay. I probably need to tattoo that on my arm.
It's circular.
Yeah.
For me, it's been circular.
Yeah. It's like, we don't know. Because there are players in the NBA that the first 4 years, Lauri Markkanen, he was solidly fine. Nothing wrong with him. Then all of a sudden he got in the right situation. He's an all-star. He made a leap. And he made a leap that I don't think anybody saw coming.
Yeah.
Jay Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
He gets drafted at 11.
With the Thunder.
He gets drafted at 11. And everybody thought he's probably too skinny. He's not athletic enough. He's not. And we watched this guy have this trajectory that is unreal. And we're watching second round draft picks, 55. One of the most irrelevant players in the NBA draft is Aaron Wiggins, and Aaron Wiggins going off for 40 in the regular season. He is turning around games. We got Lou Dort, who came in as undrafted, who turned the tide of games. And it's because he arrived on the schedule that he needed to arrive on. Shea arrived on the schedule he needed to arrive on. Aaron Wiggins arrived. AJ Mitchell arrived. Casey Wallace arrived. Jalen Williams arrived. Like all these people arrive on the schedule that they're supposed to arrive on. And you watch fans and they're like, it's not fast enough. It's not fast enough. It's not fast enough. And Presti's like, development, it's not linear. We're like these people. And this is that thing. If we can land in this place of doing the right things consistently, then our ceiling is raised.
Yeah.
Now, it might not be raised today. I use this analogy a ton with entrepreneurs. You ever run a marathon? You don't walk out there and run 26.2 miles on the first day.
No.
You run 1.6 miles. There's like a build.
Yeah.
There's like a formula. You can look it up on the internet. It says, 8 weeks out, you should be doing this. 10 weeks out, you should be doing this. Like, here's what it is. You're building resilience, you're building endurance, you're building all these things. And part of how you're building them is by your days off. Don't do anything on this day. What? Why am I supposed to not do anything on this day?
Rest.
It's rest and recovery.
Yeah.
Hey, I have a client that's in the medical space. He's a functional medicine doctor. He had a guest on that talked about, said, how do you get people to start working out? What should they do? What's an easy win that any person can do that will actually benefit them health wise across the board? And without hesitating, he said, stand from a seated position without using your hands. What? He said, because what that does is it actually builds core strength. And in building your core strength, whether you're 87 years old or you're 47 years old or you're 27 years old, you're building core strength. And in building core strength, you are less likely to get injured. You're more likely to do, like, he starts naming them all off. And I was like, okay, you know what I'm going to start doing? Stand from a seated position without using my hands. And I'm 6'8". So I automatically think I'm going to use my hands because I want to keep myself safe. I want to keep myself protected. And he's going, nope. Reality is counterintuitive. Don't use your hands. You're actually protecting your back because in little micro moments, you are encouraging the right habits and the right muscles. Okay. Then he said the second thing, which is interesting. I think it's interesting. So the second thing is he said, every chance you get, walk for 15 minutes after a meal. He said, I don't care how far, I don't care how fast, I don't care how many steps you get in. I don't care about any of those things. Just walk for 15 minutes. Walk for 15 minutes after your meal. Does this for your metabolism, does this for your body, it does this, it does this, it does this. But it also builds good habits. Because when you walk for 15 minutes after a meal, eventually you're like, I should walk faster. I can walk farther. I can do this. I can add this one small micro thing and everything is benefited. And it's those little micro moves, it's those little habits, it's those little things that we do that actually contribute to resilience.
And core process is not just your core. And do those things over a long period of time.
Right.
You do climb it.
Right. The point isn't a six pack. The point is core infrastructure health. Do these little things. And you know what might be the byproduct of it? A six pack.
That's my goal.
That's a byproduct, not the goal. The goal is health.
Okay, so marathon, the finisher's shirt and the medal is a byproduct of those 90 days that you did the novice training schedule for a marathon. And it's not the time, it's what Mark Bravo said. If you cross that finish line with a smile on your face, you're a winner.
Yeah.
No matter what time is.
I had this conversation yesterday with my doctor friend. We were talking about small steps, and he said he'd heard this a lot and he's starting to enact it for himself. He said, if you want to run, go buy yourself really great shoes and set them next to your bed. Just set them next to your bed. Yeah. Buy yourself some really great shoes and set them next to your bed.
Sit in the closet.
You are infinitely more likely to slip them on and start running than if you don't have them at all. Yeah. Positioning. Just start by seeing. It's like, again, and I promise I've never used this language before in my whole life, like see, recognize, and name. It's like, okay, those are three distinct steps. I'm sorry to everybody out there that listens to me talk on a regular basis. You're going to start to hear this language a lot more.
But that fits in any scenario and any age.
It just does.
And if you, I can't remember who said it, but we've all heard it. That you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So there's 2 parts of that. Who are my 5? And then at some point, am I in somebody else's circle of 5?
Yeah.
I'm not. Why not? Because I'm living in isolation. So we all have an impact to other people on how we climb those mountains matter.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And the more we, again, this is the thing that kind of vexes me in the best possible way. There's this thing in us that equates activity with success. Back to that, I don't want to ring this bell too much, but it's like the point is not the 30 under 30. That's not the point. It's not inherently good. It's not inherently bad. Mm-hmm. But can we just say out loud, it's not the point? Not the point. When I was in college, being a student life at my college asked me the question. He says, do you want an education or do you want a degree? Because it's possible to get neither. And it's possible to get both. But in order to get both, you have to be very thoughtful and mindful.
Gotta be intentional.
It's like, it doesn't happen by accident. And the reason he was asking me that question is because he was watching me doing, but not knowing why. I'm doing all this stuff and it doesn't matter. I don't see the point of any of it. When I was able to go, I sat down with him because he asked me a question. Do you want an education? Do you want a degree? I sat down. I was like, I want an education. That's what I want. Now, the degree, if I get the degree, great. What I want is an education. Okay. Then you need to start enrolling in different classes. We need to start guiding you in different ways, because the goal of college education is not to teach you what to think, but it's to teach you how to think. That's the goal.
You're learning how to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So he said, let's do this differently. And all of a sudden it transformed my collegiate career. Transformed. Like that is one of the mile markers of my life. Again, that is formative and is a big part of the reason why I am who I am today, why I am where I am today, and why I do what I do today. Is because of that moment where he said, do you want to know what to think or how to think? Do you need an education? Do you need a degree? Degrees aren't bad. They're great. But could we put them in the right place? Quandaries, not good or bad. Let's put it in its right place. Marathon, winning, losing, not good or bad. It's all the things that go into it.
The thing behind the thing, like you said, what's your purpose? What's your motive here?
Yeah.
I think along the way too is, what's your identity? What's your motivation in this? Are you doing this for someone else, for their approval?
Yeah.
Or you think that is going to make you better? Half the time it's not what you think about me. It's what motivated me for so many years of what I thought you thought about me. And the reality is a lot of times you're not thinking about me at all. Right. And yet I am had been driven in the past by perception and wanting to be valued and approved of.
Yeah.
And seen as successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And a good friend of ours years ago, she was our band grandma. I don't know why, but we had a band grandma. She kind of adopted all of us and she like spoke truth into us and she did things that grandmas would do for all the guys in the band. And she made this statement at one point. She said, comparison is poison.
Good.
I was like, tell me more. Her name was Diane. Her husband's name was Jack. Little ditty about Jack, and can't make that up. Jack and Diane. But Diane said, comparison is poison. You either win or you lose. And neither one of them does you any good. Because when you win, you don't gain anything. Yeah. When you lose, you don't gain anything. Because at no point was it ever the point.
Yeah.
What?
Wrong yardstick.
Yeah. 75-year-old lady, like I need you to not nail me to the turf quite so hard. Like I just felt like I got body slammed when she said that in the best possible way. Because it's like, this is just such truth. It's like, again, this is that thing that is starting to teach me how to see. It's teaching me how to see. I don't need to be as good as these other people at the table in the same way, because how they are is different than they.
Different skill sets, different natural abilities.
So,
it doesn't matter what they think about you. It really doesn't matter what I think about me. It's just, God, what do you say about me?
Yeah. And it's like, and it's looking at it and going again, and we constantly reset this. What's the point?
Yeah.
Like, what is the goal? My goal is I've got 4 things that I say are my threshold for life. I do work that I'm proud of, with people that I respect, on projects that I love that might change the world. That's what I want to do.
Say that again.
I want to do work that I'm proud of, with people that I respect, projects that I love, might change the world. That's what I want. And none of them, ironically, are outlandish at all. But they've put me in some pretty outlandish situations. It's pretty great. And it's really easy to look at it and go, might change the world. That's really hard. And I'm like, might change the world might be a restaurant owner who's kind to his staff. That's changing the world. None of them have these huge swings in them, except that all of them have these huge swings in them.
And that project, that last thing, is not your anchor. Your identity is not anchored to that thing.
Right.
And I think we were created to create and build, but whatever that thing is, we can't as man or anybody, I mean, male or female, have that tethered to that thing.
Yeah.
Is there one thing that you're working on right now that's got you excited that you can?
Man, so I've kind of landed in this place that I really like. I'm actually working on a personal project that's got me pretty excited. And it's this idea. I hesitate to even name it because I don't want this to sound or feel like a commercial in any way, shape, or form. But I'm just going to say it because I'm kind of tired of being bashful about it. I've kind of developed this kind of way of thinking that is this idea of a North Star. Like I use this North Star.
Who's that language with me?
Yeah.
Regularly.
Yeah. And it's been language that I've used for a really long time, but it's actually kind of materialized into I'm starting to connect the dots between a lot of things, because we talked about the thing underneath the thing.
Yeah.
Another phrase that keeps coming up in my own personal processing is talking about the thin red line that runs back through my life. It's like, what are the things, what are the places that I've had seen success? Where are the places that I've seen failure? Where are the places that I've seen joy? Where are the places that I've seen sorrow? And what's the thin red line that connects all those beautiful moments? What's the thin red line? Are there behaviors? Are there situations? Is there thinking? What are the things that connect all those beautiful moments? And how do I keep leaning into that kind of thing? And for me, I'm learning that kind of this idea of a North Star is when I orient myself in that way, things work better. They just work better because every Eagle Scout that's listening to this will understand this. When you're lost in the woods, what they tell you to do is find the farthest point of reference that you can see and that you can perpetually return to. You don't just pick a tree, you pick a landmark, and you pick the farthest landmark that you can. And what you do is you start walking towards that. Because if you don't have a landmark, what you will do, because of the shape of the earth, because of the way the humans are made, you will walk in a giant circle. That's what you'll do. You pick a landmark that is the goal. Now, the goal is not arriving at that place. The goal is to arrive at civilization. The goal is to not die. That's the goal. Sounds really silly. Like if you pick a landmark and it's the peak of a mountain, maybe when you're lost, the point isn't the peak. Maybe the point is getting back to civilization and not dying. So for me, North Star has been that, and it's kind of materialized into this. I've started doing North Star documents for clients where I like these 11 to 13 page documents where I'm just sitting down and going, let's talk about the point. Let's talk about the thing that is underneath the thing. Yeah. Let's talk about the thing that is your North Star, that is your goal, that is your way of thinking, that is the undercurrent of all the things that you do. Because if we can identify the undercurrent of all the things that you do, then all of a sudden all of your activities make more sense. You know that. I've made this joke for years and years. I'm 6'8", so I'm larger than everybody else in most every room. As a result, if you drop me off the mall and you tell me you got to buy a shirt and you have 30 minutes to do it, I can do it. It's really difficult to find things in my size, but if you drop me off at a decent sized mall, I'm going to go find an H&M or I'm going to go find a Express, because Express has tall athletic cut shirts that actually fit me. Now, will they be the best things in the world? No, they're not going to be the best things in the world. What you told me to do is find a shirt in 30 minutes. I can go to H&M. Again, it's not the best thing in the world, but I know that company from Stockholm, Sweden is made for people who have big old long monkey arms like I have. I have really long arms and it's ridiculous, but I know that I can solve that problem and I can solve that problem quickly. And I can solve that problem quickly because I realize the things that stand in the way, the limitations that I have, the peculiarities that I have. And because I know my goal, my limitations, my peculiarities, I can actually accomplish the purpose faster because I don't waste the motion. I'm not going to Journeys.
I'm not going to Abercrombie because it's going to hit me about halfway up mile.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's like we're just going to borrow new problems. It doesn't make sense for me to even go in and try on those clothes. Nothing wrong with those clothes. They're just not for me. Yeah. So for me, North Star has kind of been that thing where it's like, okay, let's help you to figure out the thing underneath the thing. Let's start to talk about who your audience is, who your crowd is, what your product is, what is your thought process? Like, what are all these things? How do we start to talk about it? And we talk about it in a way that is hopefully gives you some inspiration, hopefully gives you some fuel. And in the same way that we talked about with Quandary, it's like the point wasn't the peak. Mm-hmm. The point was 36 hours in that tent.
We'll be excited if we get to the peak.
Right.
Absolutely.
We'll have goals.
Celebrate this. Yeah.
Right. We'll have goals. I worked with a landscaping company. It's like in working with that landscaping company, the point is not mowing yards. The point is making beautiful things. That's the thing. I'm working with an outdoors brand, and that outdoors brand, it's like the point isn't discounts on fishing lures. Nobody cares about discounts on fishing lures. What they care about is discovering things and places and experiences. They want to discover
and be with their buddies, and they've got the fish held out.
Right.
The camera looks really big.
Absolutely. That's what they want.
My hands smell like trout.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the point all along.
Yeah.
And if that brand can go, we know what the point is all along, and we're gonna give it to you.
Yeah. Give you that experience.
We're gonna give you that thing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah. It's
not always the thing.
The thing is not always the thing. I use this quote all the time because again, This is another landmark conversation in my life. Sitting down with a good, very talented songwriter that I knew 21 years ago, 24 years ago. No, and before that, we had this conversation 24 years ago. I said, what makes a song timeless? And I thought we would have this long philosophical conversation. Instead of it being long philosophical, just answer the question. Songs that are timeless are ones that say the things that we've always felt. Mm. And I went, I hate you, John, because he just answered the question. It's like, those are the songs. And he said, he was like, there are exceptions to that rule. Hey, there might be a song you play to your wedding, and that's a core memory for you. Yeah. That song's going to be timeless for you. That song might have been a big deal in a moment. It might have been something that you danced with your, your girlfriend to, but the through line songs that are timeless are ones that say the things we've always felt. Yes. When brands can do that, when companies can do that, when ideas can do that, where they can go, this is not about owning a gun. This is about, I've got a guy that I know that he went to Africa. He wanted to hunt for Cape buffalo. Cape buffalo tags are pretty expensive. Well, he went over there, and whenever he went over and he hunted, he shot this Cape buffalo. There's a whole big story behind it that I won't go into all the details. But once he shot this Cape buffalo, he brought his dad along on the trip as well. And when he shot that Cape buffalo, they went and got the Cape buffalo. They got pictures of it. Dad's really excited for him. They're having this really great moment. And all of a sudden, he hands his dad the tag for his Cape buffalo and says, now let's go get yours. That's why he was on that trip. Yeah. The Cape buffalo, hey, that was great. That was a great experience. But I can tell you with a high degree of certainty that if he were sitting in the room right now and you asked for what the best moment of that trip was, it wasn't when he shot the buffalo. It was when he handed his dad that tag. That's the outdoor. That's the outdoors. That's that moment. So when you say, what is it that I'm working on right now? It's like, man, let's put this together in such a way that I want to have conversations all the day, like every day and all the time with people, and started to identify a way of thinking. Yeah. Because, and this is language that I'm still developing with North Star. It's the point of it is recognizing who you are and why that matters. Yeah. It's like, can you recognize who you are? Yeah. Like, can you see? Can you recognize? Can you name?
Well, I've been walking on that journey together over the years and our own friendship and relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, and then I think that's what makes it special. Then when you have those experiences, you see them, you name them, and you navigate that way because of it. It makes those things authentic. And then when you do see success in that moment, it makes you proud because you're celebrating those things together.
Yeah.
And it's 100%. Not a commercial. You're not pushing a product. I mean, it's like, it really is the experience, shared experience and wisdom. I appreciate the phrase. You can't see it in our shot here, but I've got that collage of pictures of my kids on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you get to the point that you realize that my ceiling is their floor and they're getting to learn and experience things in their teens and 20s, that I may not have had that awareness or understanding till maybe my 30s, 40s, and 50s. Yeah. I mean, talk about ROI. Yeah. I mean, that's exponential growth. And I think that's a God honoring principle, that as we do those little things over the long haul and a long period of time, then we realize, Terry Storch shared this conversation with me one day from his mentor. He said, hey, Terry, the sooner you realize that your fruit is growing on someone else's trees, the better off you'll be.
Yeah.
This phase of life for us, it's not just about us and us reaching the summit. It's more now about us helping someone else reach the summit. That shift is not subtle. It is slapping you across the face. You're going, oh yeah, that's what it means to be a mature, healthy leader, or striving to that, to watch someone else, just like that Cape buffalo. Yeah, that was awesome for me to experience it. But I'm going to get so much more joy and satisfaction watching you also experience that. I can describe the summit to you, but it's not anything like you experiencing the summit for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have this weird desire at this point in my life that it's easy for me to imagine for my children. See, it's easier. Like, as soon as you said, my ceiling is their floor, and I think about my 16-year-old and my 19-year-old. I love that. My second thought is, can I have that attitude and mentality with my close friendships? Like, I want that to be my mentality with them. And with them, it's going to be more of a shared load than it will be with my children, because they're kind of more of a place.
Different relationship.
Yeah. Different kind of relationship. But it's like, can I still carry that same energy into into those close friendships? And can I carry that same energy into, it's like, with what I do? I can walk into meetings with entrepreneurs. I can walk into meetings with companies. I can walk into meetings with CEOs. I can walk into meetings with leaders and executives and have these conversations. And I bring my way of thinking, this idea of seeing, recognizing, naming. I can walk into that room and go, like, I can give you a boost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guess what? This is, and I can give you a boost, not because I'm better than you, but because I'm doing the thing that I'm really great at.
Yeah. And you've done the same work yourself.
Right.
For yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that the point isn't about being an expert or being perfect, or that anything what you do is fundamentally better. Instead, it's like, this is just fundamentally different. It's different. My dad would always joke about, my dad was 6'4". Every house that he went into, they would joke about that he could look on top of the refrigerator, see who cleans poorly. And it's like, that's just funny. Because again, that's his point of view.
You have no perspective.
Yeah. It's unavoidable that he has that point of view.
Yeah.
Now, does he care if they cleaned out the top of the refrigerator? No, that's just a good joke. That's just a good joke. But that is a byproduct of just how he sees. It's how he sees. It's the way he thinks. It's his perspective in every room that he walks into. And I think that sometimes we undervalue our perspective, because in this season of my life, the things that I want to protect is, I want to protect my creativity. I want to protect my intellectual property, the things that happen in my brain, and I want to protect my point of view. So that's what I want to protect. Those are the things that I want to encourage, that I want to maximize. And the other stuff that I may or may not be fine at, no, I'm not going to spend my energy at that, because that's not my priority.
I need to partner with someone or collaborate with someone.
Right.
Because that's their strong suit.
Yeah. Here's my hierarchy of behavior. Here's my hierarchy of need. What I need to do is protect my intellectual property, protect my point of view, protect my creativity. That's what I need to do. Yeah. I want to, and I actually would probably even edit that, not protect it. I want to maximize it. It's like, it's not about protecting it, because honestly, for me, in sharing my creativity with the right people, it reminds me that well doesn't run dry. It's not. I'm actually finding that I have more capacity and more excitement and more energy in sharing it with the right people than I thought I had. Because at 54, I would think that my capacity and my endurance is lower. It's infinitely deeper than I thought it was.
And really, and in our culture, you're just moving into your greatest opportunity for impact and influence in your 50s. Gary Brooks challenged me, I think before Christmas in a conversation. He goes, "Hey, Todd, we're talking about flow."
Yeah.
Saying, God has called you to be a stream or a brook or a river, not a lake.
Right.
So the flow part is not up to us. That's really up to God.
Right.
And if you dam a lake, or, the Dead Sea, you know what? You don't want to drink from that water. You want to drink from a fountain or a spring.
Yeah.
And so how do we be that for other people? Yeah. And I think what I enjoy in my relation with you and guys like Gary and other people here in Oklahoma City area is that being around people that have that flow mentality, that we're called to be rich because someone has poured into us or over our lifetime. And it's, I think, our responsibility to point people back to the fountain so they can have that same flow. And it's not all just about us. And I see the work that you do. I see it as authentic. Projects that I am working on are also authentic. We're not just throwing out and promoting new products, even though it may be the first time someone has heard those concepts or thoughts, but it's backed up by wisdom and discernment and years of experience. And so if I'm going to go, we talked about backpacks earlier, if I've got someone guiding me up a mountain, I don't want to see him pulling off the tags off of new boots and new gloves and new trekking poles. And I want to see equipment that is dinged and scraped and scarred, that it's been used and he knows how to use it, which ones to use in what circumstances. So that sure does change your perspective. You don't start out a hike in new boots.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there's, I feel the need to say this out loud as well. It's like, it's easy in these conversations for us to position. It's easy for me to present these are all these things that I figured out. The truth is, these are all the things that I'm wrestling with every day, that I am still flawed in so many ways, in so many areas. I have so many shortcomings. I have so many things that I'm incomplete in. And I don't want to sit here and sound like I've got something buttoned up. Instead, I'd rather have the kinds of conversations where I say, these are the questions I have. These are the things that I'm wrestling with. These are the things I'm discovering. And if this helps, great, because I know that how I'm built, how I'm made. Sometimes I will be the guy that bumbles into the wilderness, and maybe you'll learn from my scars. Maybe I'll bumble into the wilderness and I may even get off the trail, but it somehow makes a trail for somebody behind me. It was really painful and it really sucked. And I feel like a failure. And somehow I poked a hole in the brambles. That was my whole purpose. So as I'm asking all these things, as I'm saying all these things, the last thing in the world that I want it to sound like is that I've arrived in it. Instead, it's like I want to keep finding the tent above the tree line where I'm actually enjoying the thing that I set out to do. The thing I set out to do is to be with my 5 friends.
You had that base camp. You had that group of people that also, if we all can be aware of the other person's blind spot, then guess what? We minimize our blind spot as a group or a community or a team.
And and there's a thing that is also true. On that trip, I was a little disappointed we didn't get to go get quandary. Sure. I was a little disappointed. Like I don't want to be like, man, I had this like transcendental experience in a tent with 5 guys. Well, I did. I didn't see that transcendental experience until 2 years later.
Yeah.
Like I didn't start to really recognize that. And maybe it was sooner than that. I don't know. But it's easy to kind of like it's easy to be wise from a distance. It's really hard to be insightful from up close.
Yeah.
It's just hard to be insightful from up close.
Wisdom comes from your rearview mirror.
Yeah. And I'm 54.
Yeah. But you're gonna drive through the windshield.
Yeah.
But you've got that you've got that experience. Yeah, I've been down here before, and it's what you even said about your son at the very first conversation. Hey, we may look up, and you know what? This may not be that trip for the summit where we get to hold up the sign and snap the picture.
Right.
But just let's be prepared that we'll be okay with that if it's not been
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce weather.
Yeah.
When we get to the top.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and I think when we get on social media, we get on things, we assume that people are a lot more tidy and put together. My dad was a hero to me in a lot of ways. I had a good dad. I had a great mom, great dad. I had great parents. My parents were just stellar human beings. At 33, I can remember feeling like an absolute abject failure. And I felt like an absolute abject failure because my dad was larger than life and he always seemed to know what to do, Well, at 54, I realized that my dad was probably as lost as I am, probably as confused as I am, and probably trying as best as he could to get it right. He's just trying. At 33, I felt like a failure because I was measuring against this imagination that I had of him.
Measure against that horizon.
Yeah. Again, it's not the thing.
Yeah.
It's not the point. At 54, I'm realizing. At 35, I started to realize he's not perfect. He struggles in all those things. But in this age of social media, we get on and we see everybody being especially insightful. We see their most insightful moments. We see their most thoughtful posts. We see their most curated phrases. We see the trip that they just went on. We see their house when it's all clean. We see like everything as politely as humanly possible. Because the reality is, in this screen that we're sitting here in this moment, all you see is the fireplace and all you see is Todd and I, and all you see is this conversation. And what you don't know
Is the dishes I've got in the sink.
yeah, you don't know the dishes that are in the sink, and you got a great house. This is a great house. It's neat and clean and all put together, but nobody sees our closets. Nobody sees our pantries. Nobody sees our refrigerator that we're trying to just stuff things away. Nobody looks inside the dishwasher. Nobody sees what it looks like in our not buttoned up moments.
Yeah.
We don't see any of those things, but it's easy to assume that I am the only one that has dishes in the sink. It's easy to assume that I am the only one that has a junk drawer that's out of control. I am the only one that just discovered that I have cans of beans that have been there for 4 years, but I didn't know where they were and I didn't know what they were doing. And I think it's easy for us to judge ourselves based on assuming. A good mentor friend of mine said that there's two kinds of people. They're the kind of people that assume the best about themselves and the worst about everybody else, or they assume the worst about themselves and the best about everybody else. And that's kind of a fundamental wiring.
I like what you said about your dad earlier too, in the conversation. Probably the way you were snapping a picture and we weren't recording, and we sat here and had a great conversation for 30 minutes.
Yeah,
And we're not
absolutely.
recording any of it.
Yeah.
But you said, your dad said that not everyone always wears a white hat.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we can navigate with some grace, if I can extend the same amount of grace to you that I expect you to extend to me, it's a whole different conversation. It's a whole different dynamic in that relationship too.
Yeah. Well, and I said something that I'm trying to stick by this year. For me, I'm going to stop assuming the worst, even if it hurts me sometimes, because I would rather be injured than jaded.
Yeah.
Like for me, I would rather be injured than jaded, because jaded means I'm disconnected from my heart, means I'm disconnected from people. And if the byproduct of being vulnerable is that I end up wounded, I will bandage that wound 10 out of 10. Yeah. I will bandage that wound.
100%.
Yeah. And it sucks when I get it. Yeah. I'm not like high-fiving everybody when I get slashed. Yeah. I'm not. And truth is, let's say this out loud, I've probably wounded some people, like without doubt. I've wounded some people. Yeah. There have been some places where I've been mature and I've handled things well. There are some areas where all of us.
You really have. And I want to talk to you about some of those.
That's actually why we're here, Black.
That's actually why we're here.
Yeah. Like, can both things be true?
Yeah, they both can be true.
Yeah. And I'm falling in love with this idea that both, like, two things can be true at the same time. Yeah. Like, I'm falling in love with that. Yeah. So
it takes effort. It takes self-awareness. It takes being graceful.
Yeah.
That's been a good conversation.
That's been fun.
Any other thoughts as we land this plane?
Man, I want to be a person that personally helps to reset the bar of hope. I want to be a person that helps to reset the bar of hope.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's a lot of cynicism, there's a lot of jadedness, there's a lot of there are a lot of things in our world right now that are really hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like, we're not going to run down the political landscape of everything. There's a lot of misunderstanding. There's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of resentment. There's a lot of all those things that are happening in all those places. And I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of what needs to be different. I'm not going to jump on that right now. That's not the purpose. Again, that's not the point of this discussion. But for me, I want to be a person that raises the bar of what is hope.
Yeah.
Because I think that I have to have hope in my life, have to have hope in my fundamental behavior, have to have it in my DNA in order for me to continue to be what I am. I have to have it. Yeah. If I get jaded, it actually kills the part of me that is my favorite part.
We understand that peace is possible today in the middle of all the chaos that we live in. Peace is about today. Hope is about tomorrow. If I can experience hope, peace today, I could even consider being hopeful about tomorrow. And those are two sides of the trail that can be our guardrails. That changes. Those three things you talked about. Yeah. Or I messed them up.
So seeing, recognizing, and naming.
Seeing, recognizing, and naming.
Yeah.
Those are two good takeaways today.
Yeah. So, well, good. Thanks for having me. This was good and fun and fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of Base Camp Wisdom, where you hear stories from people who've done the hard miles and made it to the other side. If you want more tools and insights for your own personal leadership journey, head over to overlanderconsulting.com. I'm also excited to announce my new book that'll be released this spring on Amazon. It's called Mountains of My Mind, and it's a field guide for personal clarity, resilience, and sustainable rhythms. So keep on climbing, but remember, you weren't created to climb alone.